What is going on, gentlemen? Brandon, George. You know what, Brandon? Just give it
Let's
to
do
us.
it. Let's
Give it to us.
George, the man, the myth, the legend. Finally got him on playoff baseball. We had to do it. We had no way around it. I was like, George, you're coming on. If you don't, you're coming on. That's all it is. So let's hear a bit about yourself, though, George. Tell us.
Yeah. So I'm George Sabora. Good friends with these guys. I mean, the pod is amazing. Watch you guys pretty consistently as much as I can. I'm out in LA right now. Just like doing some rotations. Saw some Dodger fan patients, and man, is just
he debated.
You gotta bite your tongue. I was like, do I really want to see him? But, you got to. But anyway, happy to be here and just happy to talk baseball with you guys. And let's get to it.
Let's do it,
dude.
I'm excited.
Let's do it. And we got a fun little draft, a little top 15, if you will.
Throwing George right into the water. Joining.
Absolutely. But we're gonna have a kind of negative, but it's funny. It's a good stuff. Brandon, I feel like, unfortunately, you said you had 6 or 7 off the top once I brought the topic up. So I'm scared.
It's been a life.
What's gonna come up?
It's been a life.
But the draft is your top 5 worst things to just absolutely ruin your day. Absolutely kills your day. And George, you're gonna lead us off. And Brandon, you brought George on. It's baseball. I'll let you guys have it.
Okay.
But I will win the draft, unfortunately.
That's fine. You'll win the worst draft. Great. Good stuff. Happy for you.
Thank you.
All right. So I think one of the things I would have to say is okay, we're talking baseball today, right? So one of them that's up there for me, taking it straight from the draft, is people at baseball stadiums that wear jerseys from a team that's not even remotely, not even in the, if we're going to a National League game, American League, some random team, and they're wearing it at the stadium and they're just chilling. I get it, have fun, do your thing, but just wear something neutral, that's sort of, that's what I think. Kind of irritating.
I respect that.
I feel that.
I'm going to go with something a little small, but it's just the annoyance factor right off the rip. When you have a bunch of little cuts on your hand, you don't realize that you put hand sanitizer or something. Absolutely, the mood doesn't matter. You instantly just go done. Why'd I do that? It's the most painful thing. Or when you get in the shower, same concept. You're just oh my god, that's a new cut. Okay, I'm done with life.
I'm gonna end it all.
That's the worst.
Just instant.
Dude, I have to go wet socks. Jesus.
Fair.
Son of a gun.
You should wear shoes. It prevents that, by the way.
Flip-flops.
Another problem, but all right. It is. It's a solid.
Don't aid in the bed this. Don't aid in the bed this. I get this enough.
Okay. I've done this before, and all guys that can grow facial hair know this trouble. When you grab the trimmer and you grab the wrong trimmer and you shave it shorter than you want it to shave it. Oh, that's one of the worst things.
Yeah, there's no going back. There's no going back to it.
You just gotta go for it.
You're stuck on that one.
Jesus.
Let's see.
That was pretty solid. That was a steal.
See, where do I want to go with the second pick for me? I'm trying to think what Deed has because I want to steal from him.
You're not going to have this next one. You're not going to have this next one for me.
Okay. All right. When someone leaves an empty milk jug in the refrigerator and you go to get it.
Oh. No, I didn't have it, but that was a good one.
Yeah.
I didn't have it, but it was a good one. Okay. A hangnail on your toe and you put your socks on and just nags at it.
Oh.
And you're in this situation where you can't get it. Oh. Yeah. Nope. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the worst. Number 3, I got to go AC in the car to straight outside foggy glasses.
That was my next one. I swear. I was about to be I wear contacts, but we all wear glasses also. The fogging glasses literally was what I was picking next. What a steal.
Game ended.
Wonderful. Wonderful pick right there. I'm upset with you, but also wonderful pick. Okay. I'm gonna go with this. Doesn't have everyone, but as a gamer, when the random power loss, Mid-game,
Oh
random
my
power
gosh.
loss, everything shuts down.
That's the worst.
Okay. You just get in bed. You're super comfortable. You got to pee.
Same for, I think you could also, I'm going to let you have the middle of the night wake up as well. Like you're comfy, you wake up and you're like, you know what? I had a nice slumber going. I was dreaming. Now, great.
Yeah.
I think it's a good combo there.
I got to say.
Or like those dreams where you like think you're falling.
That's a reoccurring dream for me often. I'm like, well, here it goes.
Brandon, we'll have some talks later.
I'm just like, yes, everything y'all said is great.
Literally. Number 4, I got to say, when you thought you filled up gas the night before, then you get up and you're ready. You're going with the boys. You're going into a game. You're, whatever. Then the light's on and you're like, then you have that debate, you sort of
can I
like,
make it?
Can I exactly? How far is it? Can I make it? It's 50
miles.
A mathematician. Yeah, you're an expert, man. You're basically like Einstein at that point.
I'm gonna go with the late night, walk into the dark through your house, stub your toe, whatever you hit.
Dude, that's a
classic
value pick.
Dude, value pick at 4. Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'm gonna keep that not same energy, but you text the wrong person, the wrong thing.
Ooh.
And you think you texted the right person, and you get that text where it's just like question mark.
But it's okay because
sinks.
the new iOS, you can delete it now. The world
only if the other person has it. Only if the other person.
Only.
That's true. Yeah.
That is true.
And if you're an Android user, why are you in my life?
Yeah.
My last one's got to be. This has never happened to you with you, Brandon, but when you go to that friend's house,
I was like, I'm scared.
And you go to that friend's house and you're like ready to go to bed and you're like, all right, man, have a good night. Peace. They go to their room and you're there on the floor with like a trash bag as a blanket and, like a sock as your pillow. And it's just like,
I would never
like
let
a motel
that happen.
gone wrong. It's the worst thing ever. No,
Brandon, I will never let that
happen. I will never let that happen. No, I respect that. I think last, I'm going to stick with the phone theme. Group text. Back to Androids, when a green text appears in group text, because 1, why are you in my group text? And 2, you can't leave the group. You can't add or leave. It ruins everything.
Okay. This one, you see your boy on the street or like a guy on the street and you have to like introduce yourself. You going for like, you just like miscommunication. It's one of these guys.
Ooh. You think you're closer
and like,
than
you're
you
just
are?
like, I don't know what to do.
Then you hit him with the turkey. You hit him with the turkey. The turkey.
Yeah, turkey or snail. You got to prep depending on which one it is. Exactly.
But you can't debate. Like you have to go into the plan this and to that or like, no, that's just the absolute worst. Man, I'm feeling it. Yeah. I'm feeling that energy.
Does anyone have like an honorable mention that they want to throw in? Because I feel like there's so many more. So.
Cold fries.
Honorable mention.
Cold fries. Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely going to be mine. Okay, so being out here in LA, In-N-Out. Okay, this is gonna be a hot take, Bert. Just like 2 seconds.
Wait, you better watch what you say.
I was just saying,
burger.
One of us will like it, one of us won't.
The burger, phenomenal. Animal style burger, can't go wrong.
Get the pepperoncinis.
Now the fries, on the other hand, maybe it was an off day, I don't know, but it felt like I was eating a sponge. It literally was like, if they took like the frozen bag from the freezer and they were like, and they dumped it on your plate, that's pretty much what it tasted like. I hate to say it. Maybe it was an off day. Now I know to get them.
Let it go, Woody. Let it go.
I'm going to give him a pro tip. He's in LA. He needs to live.
Okay, fine.
Okay, first of all, burger, get it with the pepperoncinis. It's like the little chilies like you get from like Domino's. It just changes the game. Then with the fries, you either eat them first or you get them light well. And they cook it a little bit longer.
I just learned light well today. I literally learned that today. I was like, you know what? Now I got to change it.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I'm the same person that spent $400 the first time I went to In-N-Out because I bought T-shirts and socks and this and that and burgers. I had like 20. Like it was ridiculous.
That's fair. My honorable mention though, before we move on, is when you awkwardly make eye contact with someone else and you repeatedly continue to look at them. Like you just can't, like you turn back and all of a sudden they're looking at you. You're like, one of us has to stop. And it needs to be you because I'm going to turn again and make sure you're not looking at me, but you're going to look at me.
Just assert your dominance at that point. Just straight look at him.
Yeah.
Die on them. Oh man.
Let's move on to sports because that's why we're all here. Let's first. George brought this up right before the pod, and he knows what he's Laker. He's a LeBron fan, but we're going Warriors. He knows big Warriors fan. Nice bandwagoner, but it's okay. He wants to hear your take on Draymond. He wants to hear your take on Draymond. Let's hear it.
Okay, first of all, can we talk about his right hook? Are we going to talk about he you know it was solid. He lunged. He had he was nowhere near him.
He had the back motion, everything. Yeah.
Yep.
My take is this. Okay, people fight all the time. Like even like we went to camps before. Like sometimes you just want to punch a dude, and like you're working with them every day during the summer. They're getting their preseason on whatever. I feel like this stuff is normal. Where I don't like this and I think it's sticky is how did the video get out?
Yeah,
because none of us would have cared if Jordan Poole almost went to bed from Draymond if we didn't see how bad it looked. And I think that's adding to the narrative. If no video came out, okay, fine. Like, okay, Draymond shouldn't have punched your teammate, whatever. They didn't even have to mention the name. They could have just said Draymond suspended for whatever, he punched a teammate unsportsmanlike or like bad work.
Altercation in practice. I mean, that's simple as that.
Like if this was when football, you have the video, it's bad. Whatever. Like in football, I feel like you get punched by a teammate, they're like, okay, they're two grown men fighting. But because it's basketball, so I think that added to it.
But even then, because like some of these old school basketball players came out and said, like, dude, I got into fist fights with my teammates. Yeah. Like it was a very
different
normal
era.
Thing. I mean,
different era. Do you think do you think affects the Warriors like long term or what? Because that's what really matters.
Can I be honest? I think this is very bad.
So who leaves?
Well, who's the three people that are trying to get re-signed? Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond.
Yeah.
Right?
You only keep two.
Draymond just gave him a reason. Do I think Draymond needs to leave or he should leave? No. Because I think he's the engine of this team and it's like proven, right? When you don't have Steph and Clay, who's going to get them the ball? Jordan Poole is feeding off of Draymond, like just giving him the ball. But he wants to be a Laker. So, like, who says that he doesn't opt into his extension and then wants to test the waters and then see what happens? I mean, the Lakers could use him, but, like, what are the Warriors without Draymond? Like, we don't know.
Draymond, Russell Wilson trade, Westbrook.
Yeah. So, like, even then, like, they're going to even be worse. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it doesn't – I don't see this going well.
Don't get me wrong. I think the whole thing sort of blew up mostly just because like of Draymond's history. They replayed him kicking in the nuts for like, I mean, that was for like a year probably. They would play that over and over. And I think it's just his like emotion on the court, which is like, I get it. I don't personally like Draymond myself as much. I like him as, he's aggressive on the court and things like that. But I think that's sort of what maybe escalated it a little bit was just like the history he has on the court too. That probably was like why it blew up so much. Honestly.
Totally.
Yeah. Let's talk about.
I don't see it going
now.
well, but it's okay. They won me a jersey, and you still owe me a Draymond jersey. You've been joking about this Draymond jersey. I'm still waiting for it. It's funny.
Once you take me to my two dinners, then you'll get your jersey. It's gonna be an exchange at dinner.
The second one, not the first one.
Yeah. The second one. George knows me too well.
Sure, you get it.
Let's go right into as what he says, the meat and potatoes, because this is why George is on now. Let's talk playoff baseball. As much as Draymond I enjoy good Draymond talk. It's not even basketball season. So let's talk a wild card round first. It happened past week. Blue Jays versus Cleveland was, in my opinion, kind of the least close series somewhat. Like Cleveland, I gotta give respect to Cleveland for this because their payroll, let me look for sure, but their payroll is 28 out of 30 teams. They are small when it comes to like big name players. And the Blue Jays should have had this. Like they were in Toronto. You have Vlad Jr. who's popping off. He's saying this is my place, and then you get swept. What are your thoughts on that one, George?
Getting into the wild card was kind of was one thing. I'm okay. Let's just go into the wild card itself because the thing is like Cleveland. Okay, from the regular season, I mean, Jose Ramirez is that guy. I mean, he's been that guy all season. So I have, with each of these games, I sort of have like a highlight component of each one of them. And this one I literally wrote pitching and Jose Ramirez. That's what literally sent them and swept them in this series. I mean, honestly, it was like, so game one, winning it 2-1, Jose Ramirez hits a 2-run bomb late that puts him ahead. Rosario missing second base on that, on the home run, that call that was whatever. Everybody was going nuts about it. I mean, he touched second. It was pretty clear. If anything, you're not going to lose on something like that. The guy hits a home run fair and square. But then the real, to me, like game one was Shane Bieber, man. He was just absolutely dealing, like 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. I mean, that guy was just like, he was hooping. I mean, 3 hits. That's how you finish a game.
And that's what they pay him for. The reason they kept him was for that. Like, he wasn't amazing during the year. Like, he was above average, but he wasn't the ace they wanted until this game, in my opinion. Like, he had his good games, but he had also bad games during the season, and he showed, like, I got you.
He showed when it matters. I mean, in October is when it matters, and like he came up and showed out, and that's like, that's why he's getting paid the way he is. That's why he's like signed the way he is. So that's what sold it for him. Like game 2 was like on a walk-off home run. I mean, again,
and
it was like,
was that was the extra inning game, right? Or was that the Tampa Bay?
Yeah, that was it was the extra inning. Like went to 15 innings, went crazy. It was nuts. Insane game. Very fun to watch. Like a couple of things that were really big on that. I said Jose Ramirez, man, that play at third base with 2 outs and the runners at the corners, like
you make that it's over. Like you hit that play.
You missed that. Yeah. The game is different. I mean, the game is so different. It's just really him sort of backpacking this team along with the pitching. And then the big sort of topic that everybody was talking about, I feel like, was like Glasgow leaving the game with this blister issue. I get it. It was on his throwing hand, etc. You can't really wrap it or do a whole lot because it'll alter like the ball and the release of it and stuff like that. But, that was kind of a game changer too, because up until then, I felt like he was pitching pretty well from Tampa Bay side. And it was like
Tampa Bay, series, but
I thought it was a pretty close game. The Cleveland series.
You said Tampa Bay. Was it Cleveland, Tampa Bay? No, it was Cleveland.
Brandon,
bro.
Brandon,
did I have the wrong series?
To our guest.
I'm sorry.
Nice
it's Mariners, Blue Jays. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, there. Anyway, so that's sort of like that's the difference there, in my opinion. Was him leaving probably could have. I mean, what would have happened? Who would have known what happened? I thought he was dealing pretty well. So it was a good series overall. I think, like, to sort of keep going, like Cleveland, I think is that team to beat. I think they have a chance, going through to the next series, which I'm sure, I know we'll get to it towards the middle of the podcast, but they're looking pretty scary, and they're coming off a pretty good wild card game. Series rather. So they look pretty good.
Yeah.
George, can I ask you a question? Because,
Yeah.
I have if you watch, there was a trade that happened with the Nationals. Okay. Okay. So I then came out like an idiot. Maybe not an idiot. It's saying that the Padres are going to win it all. Can you talk to me a little bit about that wild card round? Am I really an idiot, or am I not an idiot? Do I have a chance of making money off of this dude?
Let's sort of say that you had two big trades, because Josh Bell is there to play too. I mean, he came to San Diego, and he's like he's
always been a really good player. He just never been on like an amazing team.
Yeah, I mean Soto was like Soto. I don't think they won the World Series, but Soto was like, he's just that guy too. This season he's been really good. This series he kind of was average. He wasn't like electric like like Jose Ramirez was, or Julio Rodriguez was from the Mariners. Like he's not like that electric, I guess, in the series, but obviously like the postseason is very young. I don't think you're crazy at all. I think that as we know, they're going against the Dodgers, the 111 win Dodgers, the best record in baseball, the best team. I mean, it's going to be tough, but I think you guys are pretty solid. Like game one, I mean, 3-game series with the Mets was pretty nuts.
Well, the Mets are
game
the Mets.
one was,
The Mets are the Mets. We all knew what was going to happen.
I mean,
represent.
the Mets are going to Mets, the Mets are going to Mets. It's like game one, San Diego right out the gate, 7-1 game. It was, there's a few things that I wrote down. This series, I sort of wrote down Trent Grisham from the Padres. People, not a lot of people don't know him, I guess, per se, but he was like showing out. Home run in game 1 and 2, big defensive catch in center field. This guy, like, he was like MVP of that series, in my opinion. And then the real MVP, in my opinion, was Scherzer getting absolutely rocked.
I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts on the fact that the Mets went Scherzer game 1 over DeGrom? Do you think that screwed him over?
I don't think it was a bad choice, to be honest with you. I mean, I personally don't think it was a bad idea. I think I would have put DeGrom 1 because, baseball is a lot of statistics, and like notoriously game 1s are like, you got to win them.
Yeah.
You just got to win them because the percentages are
exactly.
The percentages are so skewed. It's like game 1, typically the percentages I always see are like 80% of them end up winning the series. Like that's a big number. I think that would have changed, but Scherzer is Max Scherzer. You got to put your trust in him. He's like going to be a future Hall of Famer for a reason, in my opinion. So I don't think it was necessarily a bad move. It was sort of like, the Braves series when we were playing the Dodgers, when they won the World Series in 2020, then like we had Kyle Wright in and he's just like getting rocked the whole time. And I'm like, we can't expect that. You can't expect your ace to just get destroyed.
When I first heard, like when they first released like the like starters, I honestly think that they should have done DeGrom first, just because you win game 1, it makes it so much easier, and then you can have your options at that point. You can throw Scherzer game 2 if you win game 1, or not even that. If you lose game 1, you throw Scherzer for game 2. But if you win game 1, then I feel like you throw bats at game 2, and you have Scherzer for your game 3. Because I feel like that was also part of the problem. I think Bats has had a hell of a year. Don't get me wrong. But also, like, he hasn't shown that he's that guy in the postseason, because the Mets they're the Mets. They don't make it.
Yeah.
So, like, I think what really screwed over the Mets was the way they lined up their 3 starting pitchers for that series. And then they got to game 3. But once again, you pitch DeGrom first, you're then up 1-0. I think DeGrom wins that game. Agree. Like, it's just DeGrom is nasty. So you go up 1-0, and then you can determine, do you want to throw Scherzer out? Do you want to throw bats? Because, like, you could have saved Scherzer for, game 3, or even if you could have them swept. But I think, like you said, him getting rocked for 4 home runs, nothing made me more happy.
4 home runs. What was it, like 7 runs in the they won 7-1 in the game. It was like I saw a stat that he was like the second player ever to do that. And I'm like, it's kind of rare you see Max Scherzer on a negative side of a statistic. Like, that was just crazy to me. But that's just what happens. I agree with you. I think like I would have probably saved him for game 3. I think Bassett's a good guy, would have been able to close it out in game 2, which they won. But it just changed the dynamic of the game. And to go off your point on DeGrom, DeGrom, obviously I'm a Braves fan, so, I'm going to always kind of allude and refer to them. But like when he pitched against us, he lost, but like he struck out 11 people. Like,
he doesn't lose because of giving up runs. He loses because his team doesn't score enough. I want to say I saw some like Hall of Famers, like top 20 list, or like where they referred him of like, let 3 runs, like, 3 earned runs allowed, and like the winning percentage, and everyone's like 75, 80 to 70 basically. And DeGrom is like at 52. Like, it's like, if you're pitching that good and yet your team can't give you 3 runs, like, there's a reason why he's not going to stay. We'll talk about that later, though.
Yeah. And there's a reason why a guy like that with a sub-3 consistently ERA, year after year, sometimes sub-2, which is just like unreal.
It's disgusting.
It's kind of just wrong, but yes, we'll get to what's going to happen to him in the future. But really, like, I think to keep going off like the point on the Padres and why I think they're pretty scary is because they're like, they were showing the stats on the game and like while the game was happening and the commentators were sort of talking about it, and they were like, they have the second best overall defensive team in baseball. Like that's what wins championships is defense. So I think that's like I think that's a huge plus for them. And then obviously the series was not really easy per se, but game 2, they kind of got an ego check, and then game 3, they just were lights out. I mean, it wasn't even fair. And then sort of the main thing I guess wanted to get at was like game 2, I wanted to sort of bring this up for people for the podcast, like Terrence Gore. Obviously Brandon knows who that is because he's he was with us for the World Series last year, but
the man won another ring.
Just to put some hope out there to say like this guy, I looked him up because I was curious. He went to Gulf Coastal Community College to play baseball. He's like drafted really low in the MLB, and he's got 3 rings. His lifetime stats are this: a .216 batting average and 43 stolen bases. That's like pretty much everything.
Imagine Wadid basically, if you were to put Usain Bolt in a baseball uniform and told him to steal a base. That's what this guy does.
That's this guy does.
He can't
That's
field.
His job.
He can't hit. Like he can't do anything but run fast. And he's also like, I can't think of how old he is, but I want to say he's getting up there. Like he's
old. He's pretty old.
He is, but yeah, no.
To say like, yeah, for insane. Anybody out there, like
if you're good at one thing,
college, whatever, dude,
you can run,
and you can win 3 rings, and it's just great. It was funny seeing him on first base, and I was like terrified as a Braves fan
because I saw the last 3 teams he's played for, they've all won the World Series. So I was like, oh, great. But I appreciate all the hype you've given Wadid for when the Padres don't win the World Series, so I can crush him even more spiritually for the bet.
So, Wadid, are you still like a Soto fan, or do you hate him? Like, is it like a Braves Freddie Freeman thing, or
what do I have? We're last place of everything. Brendan informed me last week. He made sure I remembered.
It's okay. Don't forget, you're a Lions fan also.
I'm going to sit back. I'm just going to let you guys talk baseball.
All right. And let's talk the last wild card series then. Let's talk about.
Listen here in a second.
Let's talk about some legends leaving the game in this last series.
And Yachty and Pujols, man.
Yeah. And Wainwright. Don't forget.
And Wainwright. You can't forget. I mean, it was like an honor just to say this, that I was in the same city where he hit 699 and 700. I almost went to the game, but it was like $200 a ticket or something crazy to just go, let alone in the outfield. I don't even want to know how much it was.
Well, the guy who caught the ball owns his company is worth almost 200 million. So that just tell you how much the outfield tickets were.
No problem. So there you go.
You could have bought a ticket for home plate, behind home plate for cheaper probably than outfield.
Guaranteed. I mean, especially left field. I mean, guaranteed.
Yeah.
That was probably like, to me, the least exciting series of all of them.
It was kind of disappointing in my
the most exciting is our last one that we're going to get to, obviously, but like this one was kind of a pretty clean baseball game. 2 games pretty clean in my opinion. The Phillies just sort of played fundamental baseball. They got it done. That was pretty much that. I mean, Bryce Harper showed up in game 2.
Unfortunately,
he's like, you can dislike him all you want. I mean, I sort of have disdain towards him, but like this man is like LeBron in the playoffs. He just he's a different breed. I think he's just when it comes time for things to happen, he'll make it happen. And he's sort of, in my opinion, pretty scary. And their pitching looked pretty terrifying too. Even, which we'll get to in the Braves Phillies series, but they're looking pretty solid and they're kind of terrifying. But pretty much the main thing was like Yachty and Pujols, like Pujols' last at bat, still getting it done. That guy, the machine, he's got the name for a reason. Legends forever. We'll never forget them.
Yeah, they're insane players.
Crazy game. But series wise, I think it was pretty average, but fun. I mean, still fun team.
Yeah.
Still postseason baseball.
100%.
Yeah. And then I guess the last series is the most exciting one. I mean, if the Braves don't go through, man, this is the team I'm pulling for, is the Mariners. I mean, I'm pulling for them despite me leaving the clinic and seeing what happened in today's game, which we'll get to. But the Mariners, man, they were here. Like, they showed up and they've been showing out. The season, man, has just been electric. It almost reminds me of like when the Braves won last year. We were just like that electric team that could win late, and these guys were the people. These guys are the same. I mean, they're that big comeback win in Game 2 was just
was it they were down what 8-1, right, or 9-1?
8-1 in like what, the 5th inning or something,
and came back to win 9-8.
10-9. They came back to win 10-9.
That's right.
And dude, just like nuts, man. I mean, that was like Carlos Santana 3-run bomb. I mean, huge, makes it 8-5, gives them like a little bit of a boost. Then Adam Frazier gets this double, makes it 10-9. They end up winning the game. I mean, that was just like, to me, humongous. That was humongous. That was probably the most fun series. Even Game 1 where they shut them out was really fun for me too. Like, it was just 2-run home run from Cal Riley to like start it off pretty much, and then they just sort of went and were going the whole way from then on out. There was no turning back, and they're pitching pretty solid. They have that young guy Julio Rodriguez, their center fielder, who's just electric.
He's a stud.
Absolute stud. He's like our Michael Harris. He reminds me of. He plays the same sort of way.
He's got the same swagger. It's like they like not. It's not like a chip on their like shoulder. It's like, I'm better than you and I know it, so I'm just gonna go out and ball and show you why I'm the guy and you're not. Like, he's just like, it doesn't matter what anyone says. He's like, okay, watch this. Done. Yeah,
and honestly, he wasn't like really pertinent, I guess, in the wild card series, but like in the end, like in the divisional series, he was there. He played, which we'll get to. Like, he played pretty well. But that was probably the most fun. And like, I had my little like word for each series. That one was resiliency, man. This team just like won't stop. They will like fight and fight and fight, and it really showed it in that. It was just really impressive to watch, and just like, it's just an electric team. That's why people like watch baseball more so now. People think it's so boring, but like, this is why you watch it. For
these young players have that. I mean, like you said, Michael Harris for the Braves, Rodriguez, even like Soto, still like he's still young enough where they
23,
have
man.
It's insane. But you mentioned resilience, and I think that's a good segue to their next series where they're playing the Astros in the divisional rounds. And as much as I hate the Astros with a passion, I get it's not funny how much I hate them, but unfortunately they have that as well, and they showed that today. Coming back, I don't recall the exact, like, I know the final score, but I don't know how many runs they came down. But they ended up scoring 5 in the 8th and 9th to come back to win 8-7. I would love to see the Mariners upset. I would, because one, like you said, they're like my secondary team as well. Not just because the rest of the National League I would hate to see win it, especially the other 3 teams, just simple. But I think the Mariners would just be a great story from their 21 years drought in the playoffs to this. Do you think there's a chance? I think they have to win Game 2 if there's a chance. Yeah. If they lose Game 2, because given the next 2 games will be in Seattle, but against the Astros, who like, as much as we all hate them because of the cheating scandals and stuff, they are proving they are still a very good team, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, they're a 100-win team consistently. They like in a tough division. Like, they, you got to give credit where credit's due. They're playing good baseball, but I got to say this, like, biasly or unbiasedly rather, but as much as I'm with you, man, I just cannot stand them. I'm glad we destroyed them in the World Series, and like, I'm just glad they don't. I just don't want them to get more chances. Yeah. They don't. They win in the regular season, whatever. But the Mariners, man, they deserve it more than anybody here, I feel like. I mean, if there's any team that I feel like truly has fought for it and deserves it, I think it's them. And then coming off like a series like that, and then jumping up, what is it? I think they were up like 4-0 or something pretty early on.
Like, I thought they had the Game 1 in the bag. I thought it was no
problem. I didn't even. I stopped looking at it, and then I was like, oh, it's no problem. This is in the bag. And then just this crazy fiasco in the late innings. Just home run, Bregman home run, and then the last home run, Alvarez's home run, like at the end. It was just like, Yeah,
You can't let those
you can't
guys
really predict that. Yeah, you can't
you,
like feed, Yordan Alvarez a hanging
exactly.
curveball
Like
inside at the shortest part of the field. Like you can't really do that.
Yeah, you can't let their stars come up to the plate with a chance to win the game. Like
Yeah.
you need to make it where they don't have the opportunity because it's just in the postseason, 90% of the stars when they have the moment, they're gonna connect and they're gonna make the moment theirs.
Right.
Let's do a prediction for that series. What let's just hear it. Do you think that what do you best of 5?
So best of 5. Okay, so I think the Mariners pull it off.
Okay.
Obviously they're gonna win. I think they do. I think they finish it off, and I think it's gonna be pretty best of 5. I mean, I don't really know how the split's gonna go. I kind of want to say a sweep from here on out, but I can't. It's still the Astros.
Yeah.
It's still they're still a good team. They're still got a home game. They must take this next game, just like you were saying. I 100% couldn't agree with you more. They must have this, and then they got to have, I think, a home field advantage. I think they got it.
I agree with you. I think Seattle can pull it off, but that's if they sweep them at home. If it goes back to Houston for Game 5, I think the Astros take it just because of the home field. I think that point the pressure of the Astros fan base could force them. But I think Seattle can sweep them at home because that crowd is going to be wild. They haven't anyone under the age of like literally if you can now legally drink, you haven't seen playoff baseball in Seattle before, so it's going to be huge for them.
Yeah,
but let's stay in the American League and go to the next series of the Giants versus the basically children. I mean, literally, you got the third highest payroll and then the third lowest payroll.
I thought you were going to be like the Giants, like football at first, and I was like, bro, what are you doing?
No. I mean, the Giants did beat the Packers, but
thank God.
Yeah. Deed quietly over the corner. Do you think Cleveland can upset here? Because I mean, I think this series alone, it comes down to Ramirez. If Ramirez has a bad series, I think the Yankees win this handily. Like the Yankees are about to bottom the 8th right now. Yankees are at 4-1, so they're probably going to take Game 1.
Yeah.
So the Guardians are going to go down a game. You're in New York for Game 2.
Yeah, I agree, dude. It's just like I said with the wild card series. It's got to be the same two things. It's got to be pitching and it's got to be Ramirez. And you can't rely on Shane Bieber because he cannot pitch every single game. It's like
he'll pitch tomorrow night, I think.
But. Yeah, I think so. But I just don't think I don't know if they have the depth, to be honest with you. I don't think they have enough of the starting pitching to get into their bullpen, and their bullpen is not even crazy strong in my opinion yet. They're still they've sort of nailed and clawed their way to get into this playoff bracket to begin with. But I don't know. I think overall, I would say I think the Yankees are probably going to pull it off, even without Aroldis Chapman, which was another big weird thing that happened.
Missed a team practice and said bye to him.
Yeah, well, it was I started investigating where I was like, there's got to be more to this, and it was a lot of it was saying that Chapman was not going to be definitive on the roster, and they were oh, we might put you on the roster, we might not. He was like, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm not going to go to practice to workouts, and they were like, okay, just stay in Miami in your Miami house, good luck. And I'm like, well, you know what, that's business, but I don't know if Chapman is going to make a big difference. I mean, he's obviously one of a really great closers. Same thing with Craig Kimbrell is a another thing that came out today too. Great closers, but every closer, you have some seasons that are great, some seasons that are not. And I don't think Chapman was as electric and as on top of it as he's been before. So I don't think that makes a difference. I think the Guardians will, claw. I think they take a game, maybe 2. But I just don't see it. I just don't see the Yankees the Giants, as you're calling them. I don't see it. There's too much offense.
Yeah.
Obviously, insane historic season for Aaron Judge. I just think he's going to keep pushing, and he's got that momentum going in here to this series. I just don't think there's any stopping them personally. I think I take Yankees.
Yeah, I honestly think this would be the one sweep of the division round. If it's a sweep, I think Yankees. It's either going to be Yankees 3-0 or Yankees 3-1.
Yeah.
It really if Shane Bieber pitches one game, I think the Guardians
That's
win
the
that
game they take.
But yeah, but otherwise the Yankees sweep them.
Yeah.
So the series that I hope goes 5 games, like 20 innings a game. Padres versus Dodgers. My notes are all over the place at this point.
Man. Me too.
I want this series to go 5 games. It's conflicting. I want the Dodgers to lose, but I also want the Padres to lose so Wade can shut his mouth. But because I can deal with the Padres winning, because I know they'll lose before the World Series.
Okay, I'm going to speak. I'm going to interject real quick. Before I made that prediction, Brandon, I believe when baseball was starting, I chose the Dodgers and you chose the freaking Braves. Do I remember correctly?
Yes.
So, yes, I may be stupid, but I'm not dumb. I have a security blanket.
Yeah.
I have George here as a witness.
That's like saying
Don't worry
picking,
about it.
Okay, you basically just said, okay, I'm going to pick LeBron right now. Like, you just picked the most basic
Doesn't
thing
matter.
ever.
I don't care. I do not care.
The definition
I may
of a
lose the battle,
bandwagoner.
but I might not lose the war, buddy. Don't worry about me.
It's okay.
I'm good. I was
go back
on
to your
that
corner.
one.
We'll come back to you in a
Thank
moment.
you.
Yeah. Appreciate your input. I do.
If you pick the Padres, I swear to God, I'm going to. Ooh, this room is going to catch on fire. Just continue. You better choose your words wisely.
Let's see what happens.
Buddy.
I'm curious. I'm on the edge of my seat now.
The Dodgers are currently up 2-0 in the 3rd inning right now. I think the Dodgers will end up winning game 1, but I think this goes back and forth, and I think it goes to 5 games. And I think in game 5, Soto comes up huge, and he wins it on a walk-off for the Padres, just to piss Medina off more.
I don't know if that's out of spite or if you're actually telling the truth, because
no, he's trying to jinx it. He's trying to jinx it right now. That's why.
I hope he is, because I can't. I can, like, as much as I despise the Dodgers, they have been our like kryptonite. The Braves side, they've been our kryptonite every year forever. It feels like, and you just can't, man. They're they're all-star team. They're nuts. They're absolutely. You don't just win 111 games for no reason. Like, that's crazy. I mean, that's just crazy. And like, I was looking up some of the the series like leads, like who has the series edge basically, and the Dodgers have the series edge 14-5.
It's funny because everyone in the divisional round was actually like division teams. Like, it was like they're actually all playing each other. So I'm like,
right.
It
was cool.
Yeah, no, you are. I mean, you are correct. They are.
I don't want to say. I don't want to say if there's any sweep, it's going to be this one, because I agree. I think it's going to be the Yankees one if there's anyone. But I just.
So 3-1 Dodgers then, you're thinking 3-1 Dodgers.
Yeah.
That's
it's going to be pretty, I think it's pretty straight. I think they take one maybe, and then Soto's got to come up big. I mean, it's got to be Soto, and Josh Bell is big. Manny Machado too. I mean,
that's what I was going to mention next.
Gotta go. Yeah.
I think what's really hurt the Padres this whole season has been their shortstop, Tatis, who's, I couldn't tell you what he's doing at this point. Like, him and Aroldis Chapman might be hanging out right now. I really don't know. Like, it's just like,
what are they doing together, Brandon?
Little tattoos, little bike riding, who knows? Little drugs, who knows? Everything's possible for those two. But I don't want to speak any more of that series just because it hurts me a little bit inside to talk about those two teams so much.
Can I say one thing?
Of course.
Yeah. George, we just met just now, but I feel a little attacked. And I don't know how much Brandon paid you, okay? But you built me up. And then you just throw me under the bus. And then Brandon tries to save me. So, like, I don't know if this is some sort of sick game that's going on here because you guys are both Atlanta fans. But, if you think I'm just going to sit here and not pick the Phillies to win that series, I don't even need reason. I'm picking them, okay? You both off.
Dude.
Pause.
Hey, man, the numbers don't lie. I'll get to the Braves-Phillies series. I mean, we'll get to that game here in a second because I have some words, even to like to praise the Phillies, man. They're a good team. You can't count them out. But
before
anyway.
we move on though, Wadid, you're picking the Phillies, $10. Do you want to place a bet?
I literally can't afford.
I know you can't. That's why I'm doing
at this point. Okay,
that's why I'm doing this.
I got a new laptop because mine went kapooey last week. I literally can't afford oxygen.
Listen,
I had to take a loan out for water. Okay,
we can do it.
Can't.
We can do an installment of 10 payments of $1 over 6 months. It's fine.
Say less. Say less. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I will die. Whatever mountain I have to die on, I'm picking the Phillies because you guys, these Braves fans that are my friends, are just stabbing me in the back right now. So
let's move on to it then. Let's move on to that series. Let's hear it because I know George has stuff to say. I have stuff to say, but I want to hear his take first because we are both diehard Braves fans. We were watching Game 7 in Truist Park last year when they won. There was about probably a 4-minute embrace of me and George after we won the World Series in the stadium, in the stands. And I mean, the moment was.
Can I just say that hat was not there when we started the pod? Like he just somehow casually popped up once we started the pod. Don't act like it was just always there. You were probably wearing it all day.
I had the hoodie on while I was at work today. Like repping, bro, repping. I'm going to Game 2 tomorrow. I'm leaving work early.
Jealous.
I have, acquired some tickets for cheapish.
Bring him some luck, man.
But all right, let's hear your take. Let's do it because this series, for anyone who doesn't know yet, if you don't, okay, but the Braves lost 7-6 today to the Phillies in Game 1.
Tragic.
Wadim might have just died, and that's okay.
All the time. God is good all the time. He doesn't let anything go by. Continue.
I don't know if that's like karma for maybe your hot take here. I don't mean to put that in the ether, but could be.
You know what's gonna be
I want to
great
hear. I want to hear Wadid's thoughts on the Phillies. I want to hear this.
I don't like the Braves.
I hate him.
I like the Phillies.
I hate Bryce Harper, but what you said about him is absolutely right. He's a stud.
Yes.
Stud.
And David and Goliath, who won that? That's all I have to say. That's my thoughts.
That would
truthfully,
be more.
That's my thoughts.
That would be more Guardians Yankees than Braves Phillies.
Okay, I mean, sure, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Apples and oranges over here, but if you squint your eyes a
apples
little
and
bit,
cucumbers, you're in two different sections altogether.
It looks the same if you squint your eyes. It doesn't matter. If close your eyes, imagine apples and apples, and you're good. You know what I mean? But
the Braves, apples, yeah.
But the Braves, that was your preseason team, and I think you would have picked them just based off. It's like the Dodgers and Braves at that point, right? You see all the moves that are happening, you see everything that's going on. It's one of those two teams because they threw everything in it this season, right? So in that sense, right? The Braves should win this series, absolutely. To piss both of you off, I hope they don't. But
you're gonna receive some text tomorrow. I'm warning you now. If the Braves lose tomorrow, you are going to receive some texts and you're going to regret things, and I'm going to have
especially
to block
because
you.
You're going to be at the game. Yeah. I just don't even want to be in your presence if that's the case.
I should turn my phone off.
I'm letting you know. You better not answer me for a week. Do what I did. Go to the ER. It doesn't matter. You must not answer your phone. You must not. If they lose, God help you. I will fly to Atlanta.
You can't afford a flight.
I don't care. I'll ask Jesus. He'll give me a will. Where there's a will, there's a way. I don't know. He doesn't talk to me, but I'll talk to him.
That's enough. Let's hear George's take. He's here for a reason. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, Phillies, they bested us tonight, or to this afternoon rather.
1 o'clock. What a game.
They bested us, but we came back. It was close at the end. The Braves
had our chances.
They are notorious for doing this. And they've been doing it all season. Especially in the beginning of the season, less so in the middle, more so towards the end when it really matters. But with runners in scoring position and mostly bases loaded, they're leaving so many people on. I mean, you can't have bases loaded, 1 out, strikeout, and end the inning. You just cannot do that and expect to win games. And then come back and on the scorecard, it's 7-6. Oh, wow, it was a close game. But it should not have even been that close. If we would have capitalized on both of those, runners left on, it's a totally lopsided ball game, in my opinion. Yeah. But you got to give the Phillies the credit where it is. They
played small ball
into Max Fried, man. They did. They got the base hits, they got the doubles, double base hit scores. I mean, that's fundamental baseball, and that's what they were doing. They were just getting the hits, poking them wherever they needed to go. That's how it was. Great start to this series. I got to go Braves. I mean, this is, I got to say this unbiasedly. And for me, I got the numbers, so the numbers tell me the same. The series, advantage here goes to Atlanta, 11-8. Pretty close, pretty tight.
Which is how the game was today in the end. They've all been very close games. Right.
But I think Atlanta just comes back with vengeance in game 2. And then it's just going to be, I think the Phillies take one more, but then I think Atlanta, will pull it out.
Yeah, I do agree. The Braves, like unbiased as I can be, like not just saying this as the Braves fan, like I do think the Braves will win the series because they are the better team. What scares me is the fact that the Phillies have their aces coming up in these later games. But I think this was the rest game that the Braves. This was the only game I saw the Braves losing if in game, even with Max Fried, because one, he hasn't pitched in 11 days. He was sick. He still isn't fully recovered. The man's a stud, but also the man is a toothpick. So if he lost any weight from whatever illness he had, it just makes things difficult. It's a 1 p.m. game. It's not a great time. And then you had 5 days off. The Phillies just came off beating, I wouldn't say the best team, but you beat the only other team that won their division. Like you were you came off, you beat the upper seed, you were the underdogs in that series, you won 2 games there. I saw the Phillies if winning a game this game just because they were playing hot baseball already, but I think the Braves, they probably could sweep the rest, but maybe go to 5. But I think tomorrow with Kyle Wright pitching for the Braves, the man doesn't have the best ERA, but led the major league in wins. The Braves bats, they weren't quiet tonight. We just couldn't finish out. And I think that Snicker helps them just a bit. And we figure out maybe we swap like 1 or 2 people like in the batting order if we do. But I think we win game 2. And then it would be interesting to see for us if Strider starts like game 3 maybe, or if he comes out of the bullpen. Because if you have Morton start and he's shaky, you bring out Strider and you're good to go. But I think the Braves end up winning the series either way, no matter what. I don't see them losing 2 more games. So
yeah, I agree for sure. I think it actually goes to 5. I hate to say it, but I think really will.
There's a high chance.
Don't think, like to go back on your point saying like how the Phillies were just coming off the series with the Cardinals, like they, Goldschmidt was like having, a pretty, he's like, I think you would rank him in the rankings for like an MVP caliber season. I mean, he's not number 1 by any means, but he's on the list.
He was until the end of the season. He was up there, but he's definitely faded off. But yeah.
Even in the All-Star game, he was like just cooking. I mean, in his All-Star at bat, he had a home run, I believe. Yeah. Like he was just there. I mean, that team is really good too. So like, I don't think, we'll sweep them necessarily. I think from our perspective, we got a lot of like screws to tighten and a lot of
there was also a couple
fix.
Like errors on our defense. Like Max Fried had a throwing error to first, which gave them 2 runs. Like there was like little things that we don't do that
Arcia,
I think not playing for 5 days, I think just kind of brought a couple things that it happens in baseball, unfortunately. But I think that was pretty much it. I don't really see it.
Yeah.
Being
now I'm curious real quick, Brandon, about your take on Arcia versus like Grissom at second base. Obviously Ozzy's out. Big hurt, that hurts us a ton because it's a huge bat, but what do you think there?
I've actually had this like debate in my head for about a month because Grissom started off really hot when he got called up, but then he got hurt. It wasn't a major. He just had that little like whatever it was. They never fully disclosed it, I don't think, or I just didn't see it.
I didn't.
But so Arcia then filled in for him at second base, and he became hot. And I get having Arcia there because he has playoff experience, and he was the hot hand just because Grissom didn't really have at bats for about a month.
Yeah.
Whether or not switching them out could spark something, maybe, but at the same time, if you were to have a pitch hitter, I like Grissom more as the pitch hitter / runner than Arcia. And you can always swap him for Arcia late game, but I think at least tomorrow, I think that Grissom still is on the bench. Whether or not I actually like it, like it's weird. It's like he was a stud, but also neither of them. It's unfortunate because Ozzy came back, was there for like a game and a half. If we had Ozzy, I think honestly with Ozzy here in this game, I think we won the game because Ozzy he's like the low key difference maker for Braves in my opinion. And I love him to death. So I think
I mean a switch hitting batter that's got speed, that's great. It's an all-star defensive player. I mean that's a huge loss, and I think the plays in the field don't happen. I think Arcia has had some defensive issues.
Grissom I think is better defensively, but offensively I feel like that's where he might not be there just because of the playoff experience.
And then he did come off the bench today and with bases loaded and 2 outs, and this was like, go on kid, do what you can, and he struck out. So like
just get on base, do whatever. I think that's also, I'm going to move this into free agent conversations actually, because I feel like it's a great little segue. Dansby Swanson having to play with, at this point, 3 second basemen this season. I don't think it hasn't affected him, but I think it also defensively it affects just a bit because he has to be that extra little bit better than he is already, which he's an amazing defender. But like him and Ozzy blindfolded could make double plays. I mean, it was just like no matter what, and he still is. But I think going through Grissom, natural shortstop, but he's done great at second. And then Arcia, he's your utility guy. He plays all the positions in the infield, and he's a solid defenseman, but they're not the level of Ozzy. So I feel like Dansby has had to compensate a bit more, which might, if there's a problem defensively in the playoffs, it will be second base for the Braves.
Yeah.
So free agent wise, though, before we move on to other teams, the Braves are pretty much locked up everyone at this point. We locked up Strider yesterday, $75 million, all guaranteed. For like very friendly contract for the club too. $1 million here, $1 million next year, $1 million one more year.
Then it was like 20 to 22. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think the Braves re-sign Dansby, or do you think that he gets away? And I might cry depending on what he says, because we all know how much I love Dansby.
I mean, I'm trying to say this in the most unbiased way because this podcast is like all about that. I love Dansby with everything. I don't think the Braves make another Freddie mistake. That's a whole debate because I don't, anyway.
We'll bring you on again.
I just don't
you worry. We'll bring you on again. Talk about it.
Yeah,
if Woody lets you back, he might not.
No, he's more than welcome. You're not.
No, man. I think he does. I think just like you were saying, he's the captain of the infield. He's like shown himself. And there was a point in time where he like was basically having to fight to even stay on the professional level, in my opinion. Like on
there was a lot of pressure on him when he first came up. He was first overall 100%. Pick, then gets traded to your hometown team. I mean, there was pressure.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Then like the series with the Mets, where we swept the Mets, like that, his home run. I mean, he had home run, and just like him and Olsen, I believe, both had home runs in every single game. I mean, that's like. He played all 162 games. Him and Olsen were the only two people to do that. Amazing. He's the captain of the infield, as I was saying, stud in, all-star season this season, all-star defense. I mean, all these things have to just make you say it's a no-brainer, in my opinion. I think, we sign him, and to me, it's, it's not obviously a blank check, but to me, it's, you keep him here because he's like with Freddie, after Freddie left, I mean, he's him, in combination with Austin Riley, with maybe Max Fried, sort of, and obviously Acuna, is sort of our face of the team. And I think you can't discredit that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, if they don't, I'm sorry, we need the pod's over because I can't talk sports ever again. If
Your dog is named after him.
My dog is named after Dansby. If he leaves the Braves, I'm moving to whatever city he plays baseball for, and I'm a fan of that baseball team now. And if it's the Dodgers, I'm going to stop liking sports as a whole.
Watch it be the Nationals, and this is God working in mysterious ways.
Thank you.
I will like that for Dansby. I will hate that because I have to see Wadid more often, and I'll have to root for the Nationals.
Oh, poor baby.
Listen, I will finally get my dinners, though. Side note. But, okay. So I agree. They signed him. Let's talk just two other teams' free agencies because – I mean, free agents itself we could go in probably a 4-hour conversation about. But let's talk about two New York teams. Let's start with the Yankees because there's a guy named Aaron Judge who apparently is really good at hitting the ball out of the ballpark, according to everything. This man is going to get a blank check.
Oh,
And he will write what he wants on it, and it was going to say, Wadid, pay Brandon his dinners. And then he will then say, I want this much money. What do you think he stays? Do you think he goes? I want to hear both your takes on this.
George,
yeah,
go
I
first.
mean, yeah, dude, I mean, it's sort of like the Dansby thing. I mean, this is like, to me, it's also a no-brainer. I mean, obviously, as we mentioned, like the Yankees or the Giants, they're like the Dodgers that are just like have apparently money to just blow on every single stud on the planet. They got to keep him. I mean, in my opinion, if you're a smart team that wants to get into the playoffs and wants to have, good consistent chances at winning, you got to keep him. I mean, I think it's like another one of those blank check moments, and you just got to, ride with him. He's had some shaky seasons, prior, but he's consistently hitting the ball out, and he's consistently been showing up. And this is obviously a huge season for him. Depending on how far they go, and how well he specifically plays in these series, in the playoffs, I think will determine a lot as well, whether he stays or goes, because, he's had a really good season this season, but prior seasons hasn't been amazing either. So I think it rides a lot on this playoff series.
I agree with that, but let's hear what D before I go into
No, I mean, I totally agree. I think it depends how he performs and how the team does. If it's lopsided, I think he leaves. Like, why would you stay at that point? You know what I mean?
Right.
Go to another team and get even more money. Then you just gave them a reason to not pay you as much. But someone's going to take that hitting and just like
someone like you have to pay the man. Someone has to risk that just because. But I want him to stay, because if he leaves, the fear is going to the Mets, who we're going to bring up next. Because if we were to just look at like the current payroll, you got the highest payroll is Mets, then Dodgers, Yankees, Phillies, San Diego, Boston, Chicago, White Sox, Chicago, and then Braves. The Braves are going to move in the top 5 from their signings they've all done already. The Mets payroll is going to drop because they have a lot of free agents. The Dodgers payroll is going to stay up there just because the Dodgers are made of money. The Yankees, if they sign him, they're going to the highest payroll in the league. If they don't sign him, they're going to have to do a lot of small signings to make up for it, which I don't know if they're going to be able to. I think if the Yankees don't sign him, I really feel the Yankees are going to just tumble down next year. But I think they end up signing him as well, because like you said with Dansby, you can't not sign him. But if this is where it gets interesting, because George has seen this picture, he's texted to me, and we were talking about it a little bit last night in prep. The Mets have 8 big name free agents right now. If they don't want to sign, say, 5 of them, I feel like that means Judge is going to the Mets easy. Because right now, it's pretty much all the pitchers too. Like the Mets pitchers, I don't know who you want to start on, George. You've seen the picture, you have it as well. I don't know if you have a preference on it, but I want to hear your take on the Mets offseason moves and what you think they do, because I think the Mets offseason is going to be the most interesting out of all baseball teams.
100%. And it's going to be like, just name some of the players for the people on the pod. Like I have, the text here: Jacob deGrom, Edwin Diaz, Brandon Nimmo, Chris Bassett, Tijuan Walker, Seth Lugo, Adam Ottavino, stud, Trevor May. I mean, these guys are like the guys. I mean, it's no brainer. Like these are big names. And I agree 100% with you, Brandon. If there's anywhere Judge is going to go, period, maybe the Oakland Athletics, they might try to come up with some money because Lord knows they need to rebuild. But the Mets obviously have money to spend, and they're going to have money to spend if they don't sign these guys. I don't, deGrom, I think if I'm the Mets, he's your ace, man. He is the guy you must keep. You've got, we keep saying this like same thing over and over. He's the guy you got to have. Of all the people on that list, you've got to have him.
But he's also the one I think that goes, to be honest. I think he's the one that goes.
He might. He honestly might. I think he might seek other options to try to enhance his own, what he's able to do, like his own, player portfolio, because he wants to win games and he wants to go deep. And the Mets are just Mets. They're the Mets. Yeah. They just go up, and choke. I mean, it was kind of, I can say that because the Braves have been there before. As a Braves fan, we've been there. But he's the guy that they got to keep. But honestly, I don't know. I think I say it's a 50, if you could flip a coin if he's going to stay or not, in my opinion. One guy that I think might definitely go is probably of all of them, they might lose, like, in my opinion, Bassett and Ottavino. I just don't think they can. I just personally don't think they'll have the space, like the cap for them both. Especially if they keep DeGrom. If DeGrom dips, they probably try to keep them. But you can't. I don't think you can keep all three, in my opinion. One of the major starters, and then obviously Ottavino as a relief pitcher, closer, is gonna. It's good. That's how it's gonna go. If DeGrom dips, they're gonna stay. If DeGrom stays, they're dipping. They're gonna go. That's how I think it's gonna happen.
I definitely can see that, and we'll definitely talk more. Maybe off season we can get you on again and talk more in depth free agency. But before we end the pod, we got to talk a little football, just a little bit. Wadid's going to go over a couple games. Maybe I might go over one game. I don't even know. Depends what he wants to do. He's been so quiet. I don't know. He might not even talk. But
I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty heated about these two games.
Okay, that's fair. So let's go over. I think I would say the two games that kind of, one was great, one was bad.
It's the bookends. Honestly. Let's start at the week. And then
end the week.
Crap game. Crap
Thursday
game.
Night.
Broncos Colts. I mean, me and you look like geniuses. We had them at the last place in the division. Yeah. But Lord have mercy. Thank God Amazon Prime is free. If I had to pay for that game, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay. But what is happening?
I don't know. Like this,
we have thoughts.
I have thoughts. Do you remember when we did a breakdown of the worst teams in the West, and I had the Broncos, and I told you the Broncos doesn't matter. The Broncos are here, and you didn't believe me. The Broncos are lower than, not to the extent though. You were with me, but not. The Broncos are lower than I thought they were.
Dude,
George could put together a hospital staff from where he's at residency right now, and they could beat the Broncos.
Do you have any blind people to throw the football? I mean, for the love of God, that guy was so wide open, Hamlin. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was so wide open it hurt my brain.
Right.
The Broncos season's over. And if Jonathan Taylor doesn't come back, the Colts season's over. Simple.
That's it.
That sums it up. I mean, there's nothing I can say that literally is like exactly right. I mean, to me, that's exactly right. There's nothing else I can add.
But it kind of even set the tone for the rest of the week. Right?
It did.
There were some blowouts. There were some just like lopsided games. Let's not talk about the Steelers. They looked like they were an 8th grade football team that just
the Steelers
barely got the chance.
Could lose to the Broncos. There's a chance the Broncos could win that game.
Yeah, God help them.
That might even be a stretch, but anyway,
it might be. But let's just skip all of Sunday.
The Jets won 40 games. Yeah. Like whatever. But then we get to last night. And I'm gonna say my piece, and I'm gonna give it to you because I know you have a thought.
I have a big thought,
and you're gonna have to give a history. Okay, you're gonna give the history of this. But first of all, the Raiders were my team to win the division. Honestly, I loved the way they performed yesterday. Devontae Adams showed up. He only had three main catches: a 50-yarder, a 20-yarder, and then another 60-ish yarder. I mean, the dude's a stud. Where was he the first few weeks?
We talked about many. Get in the ball.
Josh Jacobs was an all-star. All that to be said. Okay, the refereeing on this game was stupid. Okay. I don't know how. First of all, the 2-point conversion should have never been a 2-point conversion. What was the logic on that? You score the field goal, you literally put the pressure on them that they have to score. They didn't need to score it. They didn't do it. They could have just sat it down and ran the clock, whatever. But I'm going to now go because Chris Jones, if you don't know, roughing the passer, where did this come from? I don't know. We should have freaking noticed with the Clippers in that game how bad it was. Something bad was going to happen.
I have so many things I could say, and we're having to wrap the pod up. Otherwise, I would go on about an hour. First, shout out to my Chiefs. I have them to win it. They pulled out a big dub. They needed it. Travis Kelce is a stud. But on this roughing the passer, I was pissed off already Sunday. And then I was pissed off Monday again. And before I get to Sunday, I'm going to go to some Mondays. How can you rough the passer if it's a fumble? It's a live ball. How is that physically possible? Like, the ball is literally out And one, I don't know how else are you supposed to tackle somebody when you come up from that angle and you like, are you supposed to roll over on your belly so that they can land on you, like give you a cushion? Like, I don't understand. I really don't. The refs need to stop trying to call games to determine who wins, because that was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. Only behind what I saw Sunday. Not only did I see this Sunday and was pissed, I saw it with my team, because the Falcons, we didn't play great in the first half, but we had a chance to beat Tom Brady in the second half. And we should have had a chance to actually beat Tom Brady. We're down by 6, just over 3 minutes left. Grady Jarrett has been doing this for about 4 weeks in a row now. Big time second half sacks. He comes up and more or less tackles Tom Brady the exact same way Tua has been tackled for a month straight. He grabs him, takes him to the ground, and rolls. One of the most clean tackles you can do. You didn't go for his legs. You didn't go for his head. You literally just took him to the ground. And the ref and the announcers, I don't know if I was more pissed at the refs when they threw the flag or the announcer basically fondling Tom Brady at this point. The announcer's over there. He stepped on him. What replay are you looking at where he stepped on? Grady Jarrett goes over his body and avoids him. Tom Brady's like flailing, trying to hit him. That should have been a personal foul for trying to hit a grown man. And then the flag of roughing the passer. I have seen more tweets now about NFL's refs are losing it. But there's one player, I can't remember who, that I saw, that he talked about roughing the passer has to become a reviewable play. If pass interference is reviewable, roughing the passer has to be. I don't care if this happened against a different team, not my team. If the team is, like, especially in a game that, like, division game, down by 6, it's not like you were the Jets, Dolphins, 40-17 or whatever. There was a chance for the other team to win. You have a clean tackle on 3rd and 5. You have to punt. Instead, they run the clock out. If the refs are going to be this bad as a whole, what's the point in playing? Like, at that point, just let him throw the ball and hope for interception, because if you touch him, you're getting flagged and your team's going to lose.
Yeah. My 2 cents really quickly.
Go for it. No, please, because I need to stop talking.
You hit the nail on the head. But you said what caused this whole thing was Tua's injury. That's what started everything. Was because you cannot call the game because of to make up for what you didn't do before. It's not that was a roughing the passer play, whatever. The whole thing on that scenario, from my perspective, was a medical standpoint. That was a whole problem from the medical standpoint. Tua should have never come back. You don't jeopardize
100%.
Somebody getting hurt like that in the same mechanism. So that's the same way Tom Brady got tackled, the same exact way.
Yeah.
The head obviously didn't hit as hard or anything like that, but it's the same sort of mechanism. This is form football. When I'm in Pee Wee football, how do you learn to tackle? You tackle an alligator. That's what you do. That's fundamental. But you can't, like, from the ref's perspective, you can't sit there and say, this is like, because we messed, everything got messed up here. We need to make up and call roughing the passers on things that aren't roughing the passer. It just makes no logical sense. You call the game the way the game is, and you can't, fondle Tom Brady either. Tom Brady's Tom Brady, but he's a player like everyone else. You just can't, like, you got to call the game unbiasedly. And that was just like, from both games, it was the same thing. And the fact that it happened one night after the other, after last week with Tua, like, you can't, that's just sloppy refereeing, in my opinion.
I also,
and to that point,
like,
you see the first Tua hit, because there was 2, right? The one that was a medical malpractice, whatever, that was a push, right? Like, that wasn't even roughing the passer. That was a push. He hit his head really hard. Should have came back, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you watch, you put those 2 plays up, you could see that Tua was rough. Like, he was like he hit the ground fast. Like, he put a little bit extra on that tackle.
Grady Jarrett did not. He rolled him
He
over.
did not.
No,
he
not even
could.
close to that. Not even close to that. You're right.
So, like, you could distinctly tell the difference between actually roughing the passer and then not. But then you get to this play last night, right? You know what the rule actually states? There's 2 situations in which the defender has to tackle the quarterback. One is he can't be tackled in a passing position, like, whatever that means, okay?
Yeah.
But if he is, you must brace his fall by putting your palms on the ground, or you take the hit. Like, you are
Which
just
is stupid.
How is that possible?
Like you're telling me if I'm 300, if I'm 300 pounds and I'm tackling a guy to win a game, like
a divisional game too, a big division game.
Like that's like telling let's think name your best pass rusher basically right now. Aaron Donald.
That's like putting a donut in front of Fat Albert and telling him not to eat it. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like,
you're telling Aaron Donald when he gets unblocked against the 49ers last week and he goes to sack the quarterback, as you tackle him, please roll over, cradle him, and put him down. Like, no, it's football. We're not playing tennis. Like,
I mean, I sent you that video. Yeah. I sent you that video today on like how this is how we're supposed to tackle.
Yeah.
If you guys have TikTok or whatever, I found it on one of the YouTube shorts, and it was like, this is how we're supposed to tackle people from now on. It's like, you're supposed to lay them down and put a cover over them and put a blanket.
Was that the Kevin Hart video?
No,
it was a similar one. It was a similar one.
Okay.
But it was like, and then the ref called the penalty, and he was like, oh, he forgot to tuck him in, and still called roughing the passer. Like you can't just soften every single sport.
Exactly.
Just like we were talking about with like, the Draymond Green incident. You can't just like it's physical. I mean, it's a competitive nature of the game. You can't just like soften everything, for all these different reasons. It makes no sense.
The rule. Unfortunately, it's not going to get changed in this year, but I think next year we're going to see it become like you're going to be able to challenge the play. Like if not, there's a serious problem. But I think that play is going to have to become challengeable because it's affecting too many games in 1 week. Like, and if it continues, like if it's a blowout, whatever. But like, I still think I'll say this last before we end it. If that tackle for Gray Jarrett had happened in the first or second quarter of the game, they don't call the foul.
No.
But because it's fourth quarter,
I agree.
I think it changes everything, which just pisses me off more. But
can I pose this question to you guys?
Go for
what
it.
What
we'll
if
on
the
this.
Super Bowl last year this happened, right? Aaron Donald sack on Joe Burrow. Is that roughing the passer? Does Cincinnati get another 15 and then they can continue to win the game? I mean, that's where I think.
Did Des Bryant catch the football still? Let's just go back to conspiracy theories at this point.
Since we're talking about it, might as well.
Since we're going for it, but no.
Right.
Yeah, the definition of roughing the passer at this point is, couldn't tell you what it is. I know more about a catch now than I do about tackling a quarterback, which is saying so much. But what a pod. So happy to have you, George. Had a blast.
Brother. So
Thank
much
you,
love.
guys. Awesome.
We'll have you on for sure later on. Talk, depending on how series goes, we'll talk more maybe before the World Series or maybe just free.
It might just be me next week. I don't know, guys. We'll see what happens.
Wadid, shut your mouth. I'm not talking. I'm avoiding my screen. No, much love, brother. I miss you. Hope you have a great time in Cali, and I can't wait till you come home next week or
couple weeks.
Couple weeks. Yeah, couple weeks.
2 weeks.
But
enjoy the
In-N-Out. It was a great time. Get those fries.
Yeah. The traffic
sucks.
Get
the burgers.
For all those that want to go live in LA, man, traffic sucks. It's a different breed of traffic than Atlanta. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I mean, pod is awesome. It's just always talking about sports, and like I love bringing stats and stuff into it, and just like we pick each other's brains, So thank you guys for having me too, and I'll be happy to come back for
appreciate you
more
coming
baseball.
on.
I love it. Yeah,
heck yeah. We'll be in touch for sure, and hopefully we'll be in touch. I don't know. Once again,
this might be it. This might be over. But no, we'll definitely hit you up for another one. Definitely sooner than later.
For sure.
Alrighty, guys. Like, subscribe, give us that love, and we'll see you guys next week.